Do you want your voice heard? Send an email to thomas@chargeshot.com. Leave a question, a compliment, or even a correction. That is thomas@chargeshot.com. We hope to hear you soon, and we hope to read your email on our podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Charge Shot Gamescast. Each and every week, best fans gather around and talk about the news in gaming. Returning this week from his week away, Justin.
Yeah. I heard you guys talk about me while I was gone.
Hey, I didn't say shit. These guys were putting you under the bus and running you over.
Uh-huh.
I heard you came back for the news, though.
Hey, we were nice. We didn't say anything mean.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. I got priorities, man.
And the other two voices you heard are Lo and Elvia. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so Justin, why were you away last week?
Well, I mean, obviously, a bit of it was the Switch. Like, it just happened to fall on the same weekend.
Such
but
a coincidence.
every year, my brother takes me to the True False Film Festival, which is kind of like a local documentary film festival that they do. It's actually a worldwide event. I'm sure some of you listening might have heard of it before. But yeah, so they show a bunch of different documentaries from all over the world. A lot of the filmmakers will fly in, or at least like their editors, or someone involved with the film will fly in and present it and do like a Q&A afterwards. And we decided to take it a little bit easy this year because of the Switch and all. But we did see a few things, and one of them was actually really good. It was called Quest, and it kind of reminded me a bit of like Hustle and Flow, if you've seen that movie with Terrence Howard and the other lady from Empire that I can't pronounce the name of. Because it's about a guy who has a recording studio in his house, and he basically just offers it for free to people in the community, and like in Philly. That want to come in and record in his studio, and like he has like a Freestyle Fridays where people just come in and like do like their freestyle raps together like as a group, and like kind of just bring each other some motivation and like some creative spirit to the community. That's kind of it's a lower class area. Not a lot of them can afford to do this stuff, but some of them actually like will put together demos and take that out and like sell records and stuff because of what he provides them. And, he'll get a cut of them because they're friends and everything. But it's not really a business. Like, he said that he actually, like, loses money most of the time on the studio because there's upkeep and things like that to keep it going. And so, like, during the other times, he has he goes on the radio, like, he's a radio DJ for the community. And, when it starts, like, this movie takes place across, basically in a 10-year span. It starts in 2008, like, at the, right before Obama's elected. So it's really more like 8 years, but there's a few kind of like, flashbacks to before that and stuff like that. The bulk of it is in that like Obama span, basically. And they kind of use that as a framing device. Like it ends right around the time that that Trump is vying for presidency. And so it's like, oh boy, like let's see how this changes. Because it's a big effect on their community. So it's kind of a cool framing device for the movie. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really cool, like the way it follows him and his family. They have a lot of struggles. The son ends up with cancer, and the daughter ends up in a stray like bullet accident, basically, from like some kind of violence in the neighborhood. Like she's just walking by and gets caught up in it, and so like there's a lot of things that happen that they just happen to be able to catch during the span of this documentary, and it's really cool. And like they came out, like the whole family was there for the Q&A. And they talked about, like what they've been up to since filming finished up. And that's kind of when he talked about how, the thing does not make money. Part of the documentary was like kind of trying to get maybe a community fund or something in place to help keep this studio going and, support their creative endeavors. And I thought that was just really cool. Like that they can, they do this just out of the kindness of their hearts for the community. And you don't see that much these days. So, yeah. I don't know. There's not always a lot of like winners at the festival. There's been like some actual like literal winners, like Oscar winners and stuff that have gone on to do great things. And the first year we went there, or first or second, I don't know. Morgan Spurlock who did like the Super Size Me documentary about McDonald's and a few other things.
Oh yeah.
He was there presenting his documentary on Comic-Con, which is like the main reason we went, because I was like, oh man, I love him, like from his past works, and you know, I'd really like, I want to go to Comic-Con sometime. And one of the guys in the film, like basically they had a bunch of people all around the country audition to be followed. And one of them was actually a local boy, like from Columbia. Like I've seen him around town since this documentary, and it was kind of cool. But it was like they were following kind of like, you know, cosplay people. Crap, I can't remember her name. I've got the book, like on the other side of this room. I've got a book that they made. It kind of compiles a bunch of the pictures and stuff from this documentary. Yeah, it was like a famous cosplay. She was like a bunch of Mass Effect stuff. Her name's Holly. I can't remember like the full name though. But yeah, she was in it too, and like she's gone on to kind of be like a pretty well known like internet personality. And like she worked on the Halo 5 or Halo 4 like live action trailers. She did the costume work for those and stuff like that. Oh. So yeah, like they've had some pretty big stuff there is the point I was trying to make. But this was really the only one kind of stand out that we saw this weekend because we didn't see as much. But yeah, it's always a lot of fun. And so like I had to take the time off to go to that because it's a once a year. And you never really know what you're going to see. So I apologize for not being here, but you guys held down the fort really well. I enjoyed Rick's conversations a lot.
I didn't catch at the beginning, Zero. Did you say that was based on, like, that's a documentary, or was that a movie? Like a fictional telling?
Which one?
The rap one with the studio in Philly.
Oh, they're all documentaries. It's a documentary film festival. Sometimes they do, like, it's called True False. So sometimes they'll kind of lean more towards the false side of things and do, like, a...
now the name makes sense to me now.
Yeah, like they'll lean more towards like dramatic interpretations of things. Like there was one we saw a few years ago that was about aliens, like kind of a what if scenario of like whether if aliens came here, like what would we do, and following it in phases, and like kind of talking to like actual scientists and things like that, as if like they were, you know, being like in that situation. Mm-hmm. And kind of having like conversations play out as if you were talking to the aliens, and things like that. So, you know, it's that's still a documentary. Like it's still analyzing the what if, but it's played as a, you know, a movie essentially. I think it was actually called Arrival. Ironically,
I was gonna say, isn't that just Arrival?
Or like The Arrival. I don't know. It was something similar to that. Yeah, and there was another one that was like called The Imposter, and they had actors playing the parts, but it was a true story. It's just they like it was a kind of an old thing, so they couldn't actually have the people, you know, tell it themselves. It was a retelling through scenarios. So yeah, there's things like that. And we watched one that was called Casting John Bonet, which I thought was really cool. It wasn't like super worth talking about, but it was also kind of like they had people come in to be these parts in like a short film about John Bonet Ramsey, but like they played it off as like interviews with each of these actors, like as they were getting into character. So it's kind of like a, you know, like analyzing the mindset of the different people involved in that like child abduction scandal or whatever without actually having any of the people involved. It was just kind of about the story rather than like, you know, being a retelling of it. So there's all kinds of things they do, but I think the most interesting ones are just the character pieces where it's just kind of following people over time. That's the one I really wanted to talk about.
Olivia, you've been up to much over the week?
Too much. Yeah, this week's been kind of crazy. We're having an audit next week at work. And I work in a clinic. So there's a lot of preparation that needs to be done, making sure people have all the right trainings, and making sure the entire clinic is pretty much up to code and no expired supplies and, you know, all kinds of boring medical stuff.
Hello.
Not too much. Yeah, it was a pretty boring week. Oh, I did actually, because I'm whatever the opposite of a movie buff is, that's me. So there's a lot of movies I haven't seen.
I'm with you.
So I watched Interstellar the other night, and it was a pretty cool movie. Like I was really into it up until like towards the end, where like a dude gets pulled into the
that was
I was like,
weird.
okay, well he. I'm like, come on, he would die. Let's be real here.
No, it has to have like a cheesy ending though.
But yeah, that was a cool.
Yeah.
The ending? Like it was all like heartwarming and yay feels and stuff like that. So like in that regard, like, you know, it was definitely an entertaining movie, but it was just kind of like the science of it to a certain extent was a little far fetched, but it was still an enjoyable
scientifically
movie. I liked
accurate.
it a lot.
Oh, that I don't know if I should spoil it. It's like 5 years old or something. So if you don't want spoilers for Interstellar, basically love saves the day. And that's scientifically accurate? Come on.
Yeah.
I meant like the wormholes and stuff, but I was also just making fun because I don't think it is either.
Oh, okay.
The Martian was better. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
I haven't seen that movie yet.
Okay, yeah, I've been told that's really good. I need to see
the one
that.
with
It's
Matt
great to
Damon?
watch that next.
They both have Matt Damon.
They do? I haven't seen
Playing
either one of
basic-
Yeah.
those.
I'm convinced that his character in Interstellar is the same as his character from The Martian.
Really?
Maybe Matt Damon is just a
That's funny.
space cowboy in real life.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Speaking of movies, actually, I went and watched Logan on
Yeah.
this past week.
I've heard
That's
it's
a really
the
good movie.
best. People are
It's
saying it's
amazing.
like the best superhero movie ever.
I wouldn't say that.
I think for me, it might be my favorite one. Tied with like Deadpool and Avengers, the first one.
Well, I just wouldn't say that because I don't think it's a superhero movie.
It's not.
Like, it's
Yeah,
one
well,
of the best movies
Yeah.
I've ever seen, for sure. But
Yeah.
I think to categorize it as a superhero movie is doing it a disservice.
I 100% agree with you because it's not like a stereotypical superhero movie.
Mhm.
It's more of like it's more of
It's a
drama or western.
A western.
It really is.
Interesting.
It actually takes like
Okay.
direct cues from Shane, which is like I guess one of the best westerns ever made. I haven't seen it except what they show in the movie.
There was a part in there where like it kind of reminds me of The Last of Us for a bit,
Mhm.
and thinking about that movie.
Okay.
They're going to be making a Last of Us movie. So I wonder if this is going to be a better Last of Us movie than the Last of Us movie. 'Cause
I would totally be okay with James Mangold directing that though, and it's really hard to talk about without spoiling anything.
I know, like, I
So-
want to spoil everything. I want to talk about everything.
Yeah, same.
Maybe we can do a spoiler cast or something. Where we just talk about it.
Hashtag no spoilers.
Spoiler
That
cast.
sounds fun, yeah.
I like the sound of that. Spoiler cast.
Yeah, so basically, that's the only thing of note that really happened was that, and plus all the video games that came out and that we played. Before we get into talking about video games, let me tell you guys all about Patreon.
What's Patreon?
Patreon is a platform that supports creators like us. So head on over to patreon.com/chargeshot. Toss a couple dollars our way. You get amazing perks like early access to shows, videos, giveaways, and so much more. You have no money to spare? No problem. Just head on over to your favorite podcast catcher like iTunes or Stitcher and give a 5-star review. Share the podcast, share the love. Let's get into video games. Justin,
Yeah.
how is your Switch?
It's pretty good.
Did you cry?
Yeah, actually, like the worst part, just as a little anecdote to start this off, my brother and I were waiting in line. Like, we went to see Logan Thursday night, so we wouldn't have to, like, figure out a time over the weekend with all the movies we were already seeing and playing the game. And that got out about, like, 10:30. And then we went over to Best Buy because we were going to the midnight release to pick up our Switches. And we're waiting in line, and it was like, man, this would be, like, the perfect situation to play the Switch. Like, while we're waiting in line to get the Switch. So, yeah, that's kind of the point I wanted to make. It's like, this game is, this system is fantastic because of just, like, the options available to you. Like, it was really cool. Like, I pretty much immediately played it on the TV just because I wanted to have that sensation of playing Zelda on the big screen. I've got a 55-inch TV. Why would I play it on this console? Like, or why would I play it on the tablet? So, yeah, for the first, like, 10 hours or so, I played it on the TV. And then my brother came over, like, Friday night. We got some pizza and just decided to, play, like, near each other. Like, he was on his tablet and I was on the TV. And, like, we were talking about, like, we went off in different directions. So we were talking about, like, where we went, like, the kind of stuff we saw in different directions, comparing maps, things like that. Which is cool, too. And when his started to run out of battery, we swapped. So he was on the TV and I pulled mine out to play on the tablet and we just kept going.
That's cool.
And then when mine got low,
Nice.
we swapped again because his had charged on the dock by then.
That's
So it's just that
awesome.
novelty of, like, two people playing, the same game, same system at the same time, and, like, just enjoying their own thing, but, being there together. Like, you don't have to worry about hauling all your equipment over to play something together. We were just there, hanging out. And, like, there's something just so understated about that. That, like, you see, like, a lot of the reviews, which we'll get to later, but you see a lot of the reviews talking about kind of the technical issues with the system and how the interface wasn't in place and stuff like that when it should have been. And that's all true. It's not a perfect system. There's no menu music. Oh no. The virtual console isn't there. Like the online systems are pretty spotty as far as like how you add friends. Friggin' friend codes. I don't know why they're back, but I refuse to admit that they're back.
They're back.
I just tell people to add me via Miitomo or whatever. I'll have my friends add me when they come over because you can do local, like that kind of thing. There's ways around it, and it's going to be fixed in the future. I get the system was not ready for launch, but when you get your hands on it and you actually like play the thing, like I thought maybe the controls would feel weird, like the controllers should be too small. They're not. I thought that like the screen might not live up to snuff because my Wii U gamepad screen sucks. It's beautiful. Like all these things that people can assume are going to be wrong, but once you get it in your hands, like that it's a winner, and that the system's going to go places. Like nice. the fact that I picked up snipper clips on the eShop, which is fantastic, by the way. I'll get back to that when we talk more about games. I figured get the Switch stuff out of the way first. Picked up snipper clips, and me and my fiance were playing it, and like the system comes with 2 controllers. Like out of the box, you just grab one, hand it over to the other person, and you're good to go. Yeah, it's a little awkward on that second one with the stick in the middle. But honestly, I have like long, like skinny skeleton fingers. So like I don't mind using
gross.
that one. I mean, it's kind of true.
Piano fingers.
And so like I kind of naturally like go to that middle part, and it's fine for me at least. So with things like, Mario Kart, when that comes out, like just be able to take that over to a friend's house and be like, hey, race me. Like there's something understated about that that people aren't talking about because they're too focused on this, like the small technical issues that will come after day one.
Right.
Like you're an early adopter to a system, it's going to change. So I think people just kind of need to get over the little issues with it. Because again, it's not a perfect system, but like the battery life is pretty good actually. Like it's not amazing, but Monday night, I was catching up on last week's superhero shows. Did you just do a Switch sound? I thought I heard a Switch sound.
You got Switch on the brain.
I guess so. Monday night, I was catching up on last week's superhero shows because I got super behind on, I don't remember why, homework and stuff, I think, trying to get everything out of the way before the weekend. And I went through 2 episodes of Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, and then started another episode of Supergirl before before the Switch said that I was low battery and probably needed to put it in the dock. Like I got through basically my night's worth of superhero watching while playing Zelda on the tablet.
That's like
and
what,
didn't
3
even
hours?
Think about the battery life until it said that almost 3 hours later. That's fine. And a lot of people, a lot of critics and stuff have been saying if you're on a long flight or something, usually they have plugins on the plane. You can just stick it in. If you're in airplane mode, it's going to be more energy efficient anyway, but you have to be on a plane. If you're on a bus commute, how often are you on a bus for longer than 3 hours? Things like that. People just are complaining too much. And I'm sure in a car, you could either do a portable battery pack, which doesn't really charge it. It's not enough power, but it makes it deplete slower. So you'd still probably get 4 to 5 hours out of it instead of 3. Or, plug it into the car charger, which again might not charge it, but would make it last longer. So I don't know. I've seen a lot of complaints about it, and none of them are really that justified from a user standpoint. There's just something to complain about because it's a fact of the system. Yeah, but in use, it's great. I love it.
For battery stuff,
amazing.
You should complain about people making the batteries because there hasn't really been a breakthrough technology for battery in a very long time.
It's really true.
So
right. And the batteries we have are volatile, Samsung. Oh, sorry, I forgot to cough there. But...
My phone's never blown up on me, let me just say.
Well. So I think once a battery technology has another breakthrough and it lasts a lot longer, you're going to see a lot cooler stuff, like the Switch lasting longer, but also phones and just other general electronics in general.
Yeah, that is actually one complaint I would have. Plus, it's not so much that the battery life sucks, but they did a teardown on whatever site that does console teardowns, and in general the system's very well built, as far as what they said. But they showed the innards of it, just the board across, and the battery is like a 3600 milliamp or something like that, like pretty substantial sized.
Mm-hmm.
But the spot that the battery is in is like twice the size of the battery, and basically around it is just padding, like foam. And I'm not really sure why they didn't go with a bigger battery.
That's so it doesn't blow up on you.
But I mean, there was a lot of space in there. Like, even if they were trying to pad it because maybe there's other electronics underneath it, I feel like they could have put a bigger battery in there. That's just personal opinion. And sure, they're not meant to be broken down like that. I'm sure there's a reason it's built that way because they've got their build, their build quality on lock. But
Nintendo, they try to be safe, right? So
yeah, but from like the visual standpoint, it looks like they could have easily fit a bigger battery in there. And part of that probably comes down to...
I've heard of a few dead pixels, like an issue with dead pixels on the screen. I don't know if you ran into that or not.
Nope.
No?
I haven't.
I don't know. I read some articles that say that there's dead pixels, and Nintendo's just saying, oh yeah, that's just how it is.
I mean, it is how it is. Like, LCDs sometimes have dead pixels. It's a defect, sure.
No, they say it's not a defect.
It's a thing that happens. Any display can run into that issue. So, I had a question as far as when you actually like do the switching, is that like as seamless as it looks in all the advertisement? Because it looks really cool.
I have a little bit of issue like getting it in the dock, because I'm like nervous about it. I kind of like I like slightly like you don't just drop it in like they do in the commercials or anything. But yeah, like pulling it out, like you pull it out and there's maybe like a second or two and then it's on the screen. Like it's on the screen before you've even got it out of the dock and in your hands to use.
So many in your windows.
Huh.
Yeah. and like putting it back in, like it sets on just like a USB-C charger port that sends all the information and obviously the power. But it's like it's not like, where you just plug it into a phone, like you have to actually make a connection. It literally just kind of rests on top of it. So like when you lay the system in there, it kind of like it shifts itself into that sweet spot. But it never feels like it's like solid. You couldn't like just pick it up and pull it upside down and like it stays connected. It's just kind of sitting on top of it, which is interesting actually. Like, because you can actually also plug like just a, USB-C into the bottom of it. Like if you, again, if you want it to deplete slower, or if you take the actual like giant block with you, you can plug that in directly because the dock is also a USB-C. So the same thing that plugs into the dock can plug into the Switch itself for direct power. The dock is just a pass through. And so yeah, there's some versatility there.
How's the kickstand on that?
I haven't used it.
No,
I literally haven't even like popped it out. Because the one thing that's kind of weird is like it covers the micro SD slot, but I haven't put a micro SD in there, so I don't really care. And like since you can't actually transfer anything off like to different systems, there's no reason to ever take the micro SD out. So the only time it's weird is like if you want to use the kickstand and then you're kind of like leaving the micro SD exposed, but it's not that big a deal.
I like a good kickstand. I don't know why.
Again, that teardown showed like people are saying it's flimsy, and the connection to like the system itself might be like the the prongs holding it in place, but the kickstand itself is actually like a glass polymer combination. I guess I don't know the word.
I hear it snaps off easily, but it's designed like that so you can snap it back on.
Right, but like the kickstand itself is solid. Like it's not just a flimsy piece of plastic. That's what I was trying to say. Like glass polymer is like it's like a mixture. That's what I was trying to think of. That's like extra hard, so like it looks like plastic, but it's not.
Did you run into the issue of like it only charging to 88% when you have it docked?
I haven't noticed, but there were reports coming out that said that might be a way to maximize performance. Like it runs off of the Switch power until it gets down to 88%, where it becomes more efficient to use AC, which is interesting actually. So then it just kind of stabilizes at 88%, which I guess would be inconvenient if you pull it off and it's like, oh, it's not fully charged. But again, that's kind of a minority situation where you'd be playing for so long that it's, depleted down that far. And then you're like, well, I got to keep playing. Most likely you'd grab it like when it's just been sitting there off, or you'd just play it on the TV. I don't see a lot of both happening.
Which colors did you get?
Oh, easy question. The gray. I originally ordered the colors, which, I mean, there's only the two options.
Yeah.
So it's either, blue and orange or gray.
It's not orange, is it? I thought it was red.
It's red, but the actual color is like some shade of orange. Like on the thing. I don't know, it's weird.
It's like a red orange.
I guess, yeah. But yeah, I ordered that originally, and then I got to the cart and it said that it wasn't available. So like, I guess I was too slow. But like, once I got to the gray, I was really happy with that, because I want two blue. Like, I want them to come out with variants so I can just buy two blue controllers and then have the grays as backups. But I hate that like reddish orange color. But I really like the blue, so I was like, okay, I'll do the color. It's, it stands out a little bit more. But honestly, I like the way that this sits on my my entertainment system, because it's like right under the TV, so it just kind of sits there like almost hidden, because it's like basically the same color as my stand.
Oh, did the screen, does it have any kind of like anti-scratch or any kind of like coating or anything?
Not that I'm
like
aware
that?
of, because there have been reports that the dock scratches the screen, which again I haven't seen. And the screen is so high, like this part of the screen you actually use is so high up on the device. I don't see how that could even be possible. But supposedly there's like some slightly like defective docks that are like bent in a little bit that I guess scratch it better. I don't know. Again, these are minority cases that people just complain because it's the internet and minorities can still have a say. That came out wrong.
Oh my god.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks a lot.
Episode 8, minorities have a say.
Holy shit.
Hi, Elvia. How are you?
Wow.
That's hilarious.
I was here
Anyway,
too.
Goodness
It's not just
do
me.
not take that out of context. But
Everyone's
point
going to
is,
take it out of context.
I haven't seen that issue, and I got the actual Nintendo branded case, just because like it was there on the table, and I was like, okay, I should get something for it. And it came with a screen protector. I haven't put it on there because it's kind of thick, and I don't really like screen protectors. But it does come with that. So I mean, they have those options. I'm sure they're gonna have like the tempered glass ones for it too. Like this thing is an expensive phone-like device. You're gonna want to protect it, and if you don't, it's not really like their fault if something happens. That's like saying that because you scratch your phone by mishandling it, that they should replace it. No, it's a touchscreen device that is a screen built in. Like you gotta take care of it, or it'll get scratches. Yeah, sure. But as far as I know, there's no special coating or anything for it.
And if you want to ask a question to Justin about the Switch, you can email him at justin@chargeshot.com. I finally got you an email address, buddy.
Yeah, I have an email now. It's exciting.
Woohoo!
You're legit.
But yeah, aside from like the Switch hardware itself, I have Zelda, which I'm sure we'll talk about at length in a bit, and then Snipper Clips and Bomberman R, which ironically I was going to play Bomberman before this podcast, and then I just didn't because Zelda. Because like I got it like 2 days ago, and I was trying to get some homework and stuff done, and I ended up not. But whatever. That's not my fault. And I was gonna have my fiance play with me, and she wasn't really feeling it the other night. She's hit or miss when it comes to playing games, and so yeah, I haven't played that yet, but I've seen some stuff on it, and it does seem pretty fun with other people. I feel like it's probably not that great to play by yourself, which is why I haven't. But Snipper Clips is awesome. That's kind of like the hidden gem of the system right now. Because as you guys mentioned
It's
last
hidden
week,
amongst like the 5 games that are available for it.
well, right. But as you guys mentioned last week, there's a lot of like indies and stuff coming, and I really feel like that's where the system's going to thrive. And Snipper Clips is kind of the first major example of that, because that game's just fun. Like it's such a simple idea of like, like cutting out pieces of each other and trying to solve puzzles. But the way it works is just so cool. And like sometimes it just ends up where you finish the puzzle and you just go around like frantically cutting each other before it, closes out the puzzle and then goes back to the main map. And like you can basically kill people. Like you can cut them to where they don't exist anymore, and then they have to pop back in. That's like a cool little paper animation reforming.
Yeah. It's like a cutesy killing. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But some of the puzzles are really hard. Like we did one where you're like in a small section of the screen, and there's like these like bird kind of figures shaped like you on the other half, and this egg drops onto them, and you have to basically guide the egg to the nest using these bird statues. But again, you're not moving yourself. You're moving like these things that look like you. So you can rotate your body to rotate those static figures, and then you can cut yourself to cut all of them of that color. So if there's like 2 or 3 of one, because there's only 2 colors, if there's like 2 or 3 of one color and 2 or 3 of the other color, they all move at the same time. And so it's a really complicated thing of like figuring out what shape to make yourself that doesn't hurt like one of the things you have to move.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we spent a long time on that, and like it's more complicated than I expected it to be. I'll put it that way. Again, it's kind of a hard game to talk about without a visual, but I do want to get her to actually like record with me and put that up at some point. So I'm gonna try to do that maybe this weekend or something. But it's a really fun game, and it not only does it show off the concept of the Switch where you can literally just hand someone a controller and say play with me. It also just it's a really fun, unique idea. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And of course, Zelda, I put like 50 hours into already in a week, so that's a lot of fun too. But I'll let you guys talk for a while.
Yeah. Before we get into Zelda, I guess. Elvia, what have you been playing this week?
This week has been pretty crazy, so I haven't gotten a chance to really sit down and play much.
What have you been playing though?
This week it's just been older games, like classic games and stuff. So I've been actually playing a bit of Half-Life 2, which is pretty cool. Also, let's see, there was Half-Life 2, and then there was something else I was playing, but I can't remember what it is right now. Well, I was playing a little bit of Dishonored, mostly Half-Life 2 though. And then I was also looking at the mods and stuff, and I guess there's a co-op mod for Half-Life 2, so I actually was interested in getting that working and maybe playing a little bit with my brother. So yeah, Half-Life 2 is actually really really cool game. I like the physics system.
You've played Half-Life 2 before, right?
I played it before, yeah. It's funny because the first time I ever played it was actually not on a PC. It was on 360. And I still really enjoyed
the orange box?
Yeah. And I still really ended up enjoying the game. So I ended up getting it later on for PC. And, obviously the performance is better and stuff like that. But yeah, really fun game, especially just with all like the physics and the physics-based puzzles. And actually the game itself has actually aged really well, like graphically speaking. Like it still looks really good.
It actually has, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Possibly one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. All right, if that's it, allow me and Justin to just gush about Zelda for like 2 hours. Yeah. I've already talked about it from last week, but Justin, you have any insights and thoughts?
It's fantastic. I actually I'll plug real quick, and I just wrote a review for it. So a lot of my thoughts are there, and I don't want to repeat too much. You can go read that on the site.
It should already be up by the time this goes up.
Yeah, but I was actually playing again this morning because I was supposed to be doing homework and the site wasn't working, so I was like, oh no, I'll play Zelda. But like I said, I'm probably like 40 to 50 hours in. Like I played a lot of that game. I've beaten like 3 of the 4 dungeons. Like it's kind of crazy how far I've gotten in a week. But especially since I never put that much time into any game, even other Zelda games. But I just got to like a new type of shrine that I'd never seen before, and it's like my favorite thing so far. You have to like connect these electrical panels to each other using metallic objects. Like
I did a few of those a couple nights ago.
Good, there's more. Okay. And aside from the fact that I had to do it a few times because I accidentally walked into the electrified box and killed myself.
Yep.
Like, walking backwards, holding like the magnesis.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm dead now. Like, it's a really cool design, and it's kind of a testament to the game itself because like I'm this far in and I'm still finding completely new things that I've never seen before. Like that mechanic has not been in the game up to this point. But I found a shrine that has it, and apparently there's others, and so it might actually be a gameplay mechanic at some point. Who knows? I've still got one more dungeon to go. It's just the fact that game is constantly surprising me, and I can never seem to like find everything in it. Like I just ran into some random like flying dragon, and I have no idea what to do with it. And I found like there's like some kind of activation pads you have to like put balls into to activate different things. And I found one on the side of a cliff. how am I supposed to get a ball on the side of a cliff? So like there's just like everything makes you think in that game. And you always it's like the world itself is one giant puzzle, and it's amazing. Like it's like if the thing you love the most in Zelda games is puzzles, which I do, I'm the puzzle master, then this game is for you because it never stops. No, you laugh, but like my brother kept coming to me and he's like, "Have you done this shrine yet?" I'm like, "No, I've never seen that." He's like, "I can't figure it out," and like within 5 seconds, I'm like, "Oh, you got to do this."
Yeah,
it's like cool. Now I'll know for when I do it.
Yeah, that game just keeps surprising me too. Like, there's just so many things. Like, you can just walk along, like, you just walk in a random direction. You can find random puzzles that are just hidden throughout the world, and they don't really have a huge significance other than like Koroks are hiding with those puzzles, and it helps expand your inventory slot. This morning though, I came across a bunch of crappy puzzles, like maybe 3 or 4 motion puzzles again. Last time I cheated and I just flung the ball out of the maze. That's the one that seems to be the most common one that people find. But this one is like, you have to do, it's like a sliding block puzzle. So you're like sliding these, spikes across this board so you can make an area for you to walk through. That one wasn't so bad. It seems pretty easy. Then there was another one where it's another cage with a bunch of balls in it, and you're supposed to have them all sitting on a switch pad, which was a pain in the ass. I just brute forced my way through that one too. So hopefully there aren't too many more of those, because if there are, it'd be a real bummer. But most of the puzzles are pretty neat.
My favorite are the ones that use like magnesis and stasis together, because it's really fun to, like, for one, I tend to cheat them. Like, if it's like a rolling ball or something, I'll like grab the ball itself and just hold it in front of me and push everything else out of the way. But I don't know. I really like the combination of like putting something into position and then like freezing it, like hitting it a bunch to give it motion, and then like shooting it off on its way. Like up in the Goron Mountains area, there's a bunch of like rail tracks and cars, and you grab the mine cart with magnesis, you put it on the track, and then like you can hit it a bunch with while it's in stasis, and it shoots off on the track. It's like you create your own momentum to move along the rail the railway around the mountains, and it's really fun. Just like the way you move around the environment, interact with the environment. I friggin' rode a bear this morning, so basically game of the year right there.
I seen a GIF where like someone lit the bear on fire, was riding the bear, and then lighting the world on fire with the bear. That was a pretty good GIF.
That sounds amazing. And there's been a GIF going around. I think you actually retweeted it, Thomas. Of like throwing a Kuko at an enemy.
Yeah,
and then it attacks the
awesome.
Kuko.
Oh, I saw that.
They all swarm him.
Oh my god, that was amazing! I love that one.
Yeah. So again, it's like these mechanics that are in Zelda games, but like they're using them in such new, clever ways, because like the whole world is affected the same way. Like if
That's
you
the
can do
best thing
something,
about
the
this
enemy
game.
can do it.
Is that you have all these different mechanics, and there's so many different ways to interact with them and have like the world interact with itself. It's amazing. Like a few more puzzles that were pretty cool was that there was a tower who's cutting grass.
Is that what that
I guess
was?
I'll edit that out. But yeah, there was like this tower in the middle of a tar pit, and there's different ways you could solve it. You could just ice block your way through it. I saw Epic Hedgie, one of our friends here, friends of the show. He accidentally used an ice block to knock over a couple of other huge boulder blocks, and it leaned against the tower, and he just ran up those blocks.
You can make ice blocks on the tar?
You can make ice blocks on the tar. You can also make ice blocks underneath you so that it pushes something up. So if you're on top of like a block that's on water or tar, it'll push that up and knock it over.
Yeah, I knew that.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, like I was actually I finally killed Octoroks because they're really annoying. Like they pop up, they're not like normal Octoroks. They pop up out of random environments. Like the ones I found were treasure chests. And I was like, oh, I can pull those treasure chests out of the ground with magnesis. And no, they were enemies. They popped up and just like wrecked me.
Oh wow!
And so I killed them, and they dropped these octo balloons that the description says you can attach them to items you want to float.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, "Wait, I just figured out another puzzle like halfway across the world." Because I couldn't figure out how to get some. Like I won't spoil the puzzle, but there's an area that's raining and you can't really climb. and I was trying to figure out how to get like these items up on a platform that you can't climb, and you also can't like get the items up on the platform because you can't throw them up or anything. And I'm pretty sure you have to like attach the balloons to them, and then they float up high enough that you can grab them from on top of the platform.
All right.
I need to test it, but again, it's like halfway across the world, I was still thinking about this puzzle that was, in this random area that I found and just marked because I was like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. Speaking of raining, I absolutely detest that your grip slips when it rains.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most annoying thing in the world. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. Because you're climbing up a giant mountain, and then all of a sudden, hey, it's raining. Oh, you slip, and now you're down. I was actually at a tower, and I figured out how to get up it, but then it rained. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to sit here for like 10 minutes and wait till it stops raining so I can climb up the tower and unveil the map.
Yeah, and I mean, there is that, that weather indicator that kind of lets you know when weather's about to change.
Yeah.
But for one, some areas it just changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if the weather indicator can't account for you entering a new area, or if it's just like a static weather in that area itself. But I don't know. There's certain things that I kind of wish like didn't affect Link. Because there's times when the physics breaks itself. Like, so not everything is flammable, even though they say that, if it's wooden, you can catch it on fire. But that's not the case all the time. So that should also be like, yeah, the like rain affects movement and stuff. But if you're already climbing, you can finish your climb. Things like that. Like, it's only fair to not just like drop you when you're, 100 feet up in the air. Because climbing takes time. Like,
it does.
You can
even with
do the fast jump, but then it's not really worth it because you can't go as high.
I have a piece of equipment that lets me climb faster too, and even then it's still a bit of a drag.
Yeah, same. And I actually stopped using that because it wasn't as good as other defense items I had.
Yeah.
Or like if you're up in the cold mountains, like you have to put on like cold weather gear, and so then you might swap out your hat because you need to not take damage more than you need to climb fast. So there's things like that. But
yeah, even though we have these couple gripes, game is still freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably my favorite game. It's definitely my favorite game this year, but it's also like one of my favorite games overall.
The life of the Wolf Link amiibo is tied to how well you do in the Cave of Trials in Twilight Princess HD, and I did not do the Cave of Trials. Because I think it's tied to like how many hearts you have when you get there, or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, I didn't do that, so my wolf just has 3 hearts, and as far as I know, there's no way to improve that. I've heard you can get other like wolf companions, but I don't know how to like tame them and make them join me. Because I was told
all
that,
the
like,
wolves keep fighting me.
The Wolf Link companion. I actually, I'll get back to that in a second. I heard that like the Wolf Link amiibo is just a skin that looks like Wolf Link, but that like wolf companion idea is still in the game, I guess. But again, I don't know how to do it. But yeah, I thought like I ran into a group of wolves and I dropped some meat for them. It was like a prime steak or something like that. I don't remember. And they all started growling and attacking me, and I was like, "What the crap?" And so like I attacked them back and killed them, and like the dead wolf body dropped the same meat.
Yeah.
So I apparently accidentally offended these wolves by dropping the meat of their brethren.
Hey, look, I turned you guys into meat.
It's like, how dare you try to make me a cannibal? So yeah, I don't know what to feed them because the only meat I have is wolf meat, apparently.
Maybe chicken meat. I don't know.
Maybe.
Sticks.
But yeah, so the wolf is cool, but it's kind of more of a novelty because it doesn't last very long. And if you start like gliding off in some direction, he vanishes. Like if you just like run too far ahead of him or like go up a mountain or something, he'll pop up, kind of do like that Twilight Princess teleport like graphic and appear where you are. But if you fly over like a long range, he just leaves the world. So it's kind of weird, like the way they have that work. You'd think he'd just be able to teleport next to you anywhere. But maybe it like despawns if you get so far away from like, from the world itself. I don't know. But he does attack things, and he kind of helps you, like, find the direction of secrets. I spawned him this morning, and he ran off and just, like, started killing other wolves. I felt kind of bad, because they weren't even doing anything. They were just romping around, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna murder my brother.
They deserved it for being wolves.
Yeah. But it's kind of nice, like, to just run by and be like, oh, okay, there's some meat here. He must have killed something for me. Because I don't usually bother with the wildlife or anything.
Newsy news tune. Newsy news tune.
Hey, that's my thing.
Well, now it's mine. We'll start with some Nintendo news, and then we'll break into gaming and some other stuff.
We'll switch into other topics. Since the Switch just launched, they released some... Well, they didn't release numbers, but they released some news that the Switch has the best... Well, basically record-breaking sales in essentially all of its launch territories. Japan specifically said that they've sold 313,000 units in the first 48 hours, so that first weekend, opening weekend from, Friday through Sunday, which beat out Wii U's 308,000 in the first hours, and barely was under the record-breaking PS4 sales of 322,000 in Japan, which granted, I'd argue Nintendo is a little bit more popular in Japan than Sony, but they're pretty neck and neck these days. They're both Japanese companies, so that's pretty substantial. And they didn't release numbers anywhere else, but they said that in America they've enjoyed the best sales in the company's history. I don't know if that means like best profit numbers, because the system is being sold with profit, whereas the Wii U wasn't, or if it just means straight like sales numbers. Again, they need to release those numbers first. And that it's also had record-breaking success in Europe and Australia, which the numbers in Australia are pretty pathetic, but apparently they just don't sell well there. I don't know. I don't actually see the numbers here. I guess I saw them somewhere else.
Yeah, I have no clue about Australia. I've never heard it. Well, Australia, they're like gaming, like their prices there are really inflated. Mm-hmm. So that would make sense if it doesn't break records there.
Yeah, I guess it was a different article that had the Australian numbers, but I do remember seeing them, and it was like a few thousand. Mm-hmm. But it was record-breaking there. So that's kind of sad. I feel bad for Australia. But
like their games there cost like $100 a pop, so it's it's expensive.
Crazy. The system's not region locked, so just import it.
Maybe the conversion on the dollar isn't.
Maybe. Yeah, so I just wanted to say this because it's really good news. Like the Wii U had a pretty successful launch. I will say that too. But this is more successful, and even though the Wii U didn't quite pick up steam after that, I'd say that really the Switch is it's probably having a rockier launch than it will its first year. Just because of E3 is still to come. Like this is the first time since technically the 3DS, that Nintendo's released a system in the spring. Usually they do holiday season after E3 and all that stuff, so they don't really have many more announcements. They have to kind of load everything out in the holiday. So now they've got this entire year basically to bolster not only their games library, but also their numbers before the holiday rush. So I think this is going to be really clever for them, and I think it's going to do well. But this is definitely a good start. So that's pretty much all there. Also, just kind of quickly, don't skin your Nintendo Switch. For one, it looks tacky, and nobody really likes it. But also apparently, it peels off the paint, I guess, the coating on the system and the controllers, which is kind of weird, I guess. But I don't know. I don't see why this is a big deal. Like those vinyl skins aren't major, and Nintendo does enough with their own systems to where they put out, specialized versions and stuff. Like I guarantee they're gonna have different colored Joy-Con and special edition. Like I'm surprised they didn't have a Zelda one at launch. Honestly, I've still got the Zelda edition of the Wii U gamepad. It's the only good thing about it. And they had a bunch of 3DSs that were, special events and things like that. So there's going to be plenty of Nintendo branded skins.
Yeah, but say you want that Razor skin though, you can't get it.
I'm sorry.
No comment.
No, I really maybe I'm just not sympathetic to this, but I just don't care.
No, there's there's people out there that care though. I used to put stickers on my Guitar Hero guitars. Red Octane and stuff like that. So
I have a Majora's Mask sticker on my 3DS because I was so bitter about the fact that my pre-order for the actual Majora's Mask 3DS system was canceled. So I just slapped a sticker on it. and call it a day. But that's the only time I've ever skinned anything. And even then, it looks gross. I just haven't felt like taking it off. This is kind of more PC news, but I'll go ahead and take it because it's Zelda related. Some modders have gotten Breath of the Wild for the Wii U, at least, running on a Wii U emulator called Simu, which I've never heard of, actually. I didn't realize there was a Wii U emulator. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I've never heard of it until this story.
Yeah, the goal was to get this game running like full, like 4K, 60 frames a second, which apparently they've done with Xenoblade Chronicles X already on this emulator.
Wow, really?
So, pretty impressive.
That's crazy.
The game actually was ported pretty easily. Right now, none of the runes work. Some enemies will drop through textures. Is pretty framey, like more framey than the actual Wii U version.
Yeah, it's like 10 to 15 frames, and it's also got some audio issues and bugs. Kind of like if you're trying to emulate a PS2 game like Shadow of the Colossus.
I had a lot of issues trying to emulate that game for some reason. Shadow of the Colossus, that is.
That game didn't even run on PS2 that well, so that's why.
That's fair. But yeah, so it's kind of cool, like, to see that, like, this says here, the most interesting thing I see is that this game shouldn't really even be able to run on the Wii U. Supposedly, the GPU of the Wii U can only support 16 texture mapping units per shader stage, which I know is kind of technical, but it basically means, like 16 layers of textures at a time, I believe. But Breath of the Wild uses up to 18 in some cases. So basically, the game pushes the Wii U past its actual limits. So it's not a surprise that a successful Wii U emulator can't quite get it running correctly. But I just think that's kind of cool, like the way this clearly, for one, the Switch is more powerful than the Wii U. Like, I don't think there's any doubt about that in the first place.
I don't think anyone would argue on that. No.
Right. But everyone's saying like, oh, this just looks like the Wii U stuff, like with Splatoon 2 coming out and like Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild, like they all just look like Wii U games. But it's first generation stuff. They're essentially porting it with new stuff, so I mean it's not that big a deal. I think it's really cool that like they found ways to like trick this game onto the system. I don't know, that's interesting to me. But yeah, so there could be a cool future for like Wii U emulating for people that miss the system, and specifically with Breath of the Wild. If they can get that working, then surely they can get anything else working.
Lo, do you want to take over?
Sure. Yeah. So I wanted to start with this first one. I thought it was really interesting. It's actually footage of Final Fantasy 15 running on high-end PC hardware, and it looks really, really good. The system it's utilizing, from the looks of it, a GTX 1080 Ti, which is, basically the top end. That's like pretty much like the best card you can get on the market right now from NVIDIA. So, but yeah, I was looking at the footage, and it just goes to show you, first of all, just, how good they can get this game to look and whatnot. But also, it also kind of gives us hope to the fact that it might come to PC at some point down the line, but it also kind of brings the question up to like how beefy of a system will I actually need to run this game when and if it does come to PC. So I don't know, it's just some cool footage to look at. So I thought it was really interesting, and hopefully it does end up coming to PC at some point.
It wouldn't surprise me since Square Enix has been putting all their Final Fantasy games on.
Right. Cool little tech demo.
It's more when than if, right?
Right, yeah. From the looks of it, it looks like it's definitely, in the future of Final Fantasy 15. So that's neat. Let's see, what else did I have? I don't know if you guys are familiar with Second Life, but it's been around for ages. But so the developers of Second Life are kind of they're going into they're creating like a social VR platform, which I thought was really interesting because up until now, every time people have mentioned VR, they mention it in like, gaming stuff and, first person shooter this and that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It all seemed kind of gimmicky, for lack of a better word. So with this, it seems like, I don't know, it seems like a reasonable application for VR, and that application would be, like on a social level. You can actually, look at somebody who you're interacting with, or their avatar anyways. So, this was a really interesting article to me just because it just kind of shows like possibly what the next level social media or social platforms can be in the future. So
Yeah, they're making a platform called Sansar, and it looks like more like developer tools, so you can start building virtual worlds that will connect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they are making a VR world, but it wouldn't surprise me if they made Second Life VR.
yeah, that'd be kind of
But
interesting.
the question is, will you still be able to have sex stuff in it?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
I don't play Second Life, so
Second Life is insane. My first year of university, we had a class that forced us to make a Second
You
Life
too, huh?
account. And no, we didn't do like classes in Second Life. We just instructed to run around and do stuff and then write a report on it. And it was the weirdest thing. My partner at the time, he got his pants stolen by a vampire running around. And I teleported into like a weird porno area. And it was just the weirdest
That
thing.
vampire stole my pants.
It was so weird.
Oh, goodness.
and then he stole my virginity.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I think this stuff here that they're making is probably going to be the most interesting thing in VR.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make VR interesting.
Right?
Hashtag shots fired.
Hashtag charge shots fired.
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh, I had posted this one in the chat earlier, but I don't think it made it into the main thing. But I just wanted to talk about it real quick. I'm not sure if I talked about this before, but there's this game coming to open beta later this year. It's called Dauntless. So it's basically like Monster Hunter for the PC. So they came out with a new trailer just showing some combat and stuff like that, and just some of the monsters. And the monsters, or they call them behemoths, sorry. The behemoths that they are fighting in this trailer, some of them, they look really cool. And the sound design is really interesting too, as far as like the sounds that come out of some of these creatures. So yeah, I definitely want to keep an eye on this game, because Monster Hunter was one of my favorite games to play. Like, I think the last time I played Monster Hunter was like back in the PS2 days, like OG Monster Hunter type of stuff. So yeah, I'd be really interested to get back into that type of game, and more specifically like on PC, since I'm primarily a PC gamer and whatnot. So really cool looking game. So keep an eye out for it. It's called Dauntless from Phoenix Labs.
All right. So speaking of which, we have other games coming out. We have the Darwin Project, Hunger Games meets Twitch. That's the title of the headline. So the most exciting aspect about this game is that it's connected with Twitch and YouTube gaming. It's a survival type game. So you go like kind of like Rust or Minecraft survival mode, where you run around, collect resources, try to live. But the thing that is cool is that viewers that are watching people play and stream these games can affect the world, apparently. Not too much to really say, other than not too many games actually do this and take advantage of this feature that's been around for a while. Like Choice Chamber was pretty cool, where you're running through a gauntlet and viewers can affect your weapons and how the rooms look like. So that'd be cool. It's like a virtual Hunger Games, like the
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the Hunger Games aspect, because like I really do like. I wouldn't want to be in the Hunger Games, like that's a terrible life. But that idea is really cool, where like you're basically like rooting on players in a game, and like you directly control kind of whether they. I was gonna say live or die, but let's go with win or lose. It sounds less insane.
Their fate is in your hands.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool. Keep an eye out for that one, Darwin Project. We also have Steam user reviews will no longer count if a user didn't pay for the copy. So essentially, Steam is fighting it back against developers that give games away for free for positive scores. What are you guys' thoughts?
They can still write reviews.
To me, it kind of sounds like you didn't support us, so why should we care about your view?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is definitely that side to it. I mean,
they can still write reviews. It just won't count as an aggregate to the overall score.
Yeah.
So they can still voice their opinion, but it won't count towards the aggregate score. So if you get a game off like Humble, or you get a game off somewhere else, and you're playing it and you want to write a review on there, it kind of limits your expression, I guess. I don't know. But I kind of see this in the same way that Amazon sellers have been giving people free stuff for reviews, and then those people go ahead and sell the stuff, so they're making money. To combat this, though, what Steam's doing, it doesn't stop anything on the back end. So, like, they can actually pay these people now money, like real money,
Right.
buy their game, and write a review. Like, it doesn't really stop it.
Yeah, in general, I feel like the changes Steam's making are very short-sighted. Like with, the changing like green light to I forget what the new Direct? Steam Direct?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of another example of where like it doesn't stop the bad stuff from happening. It just makes them have to rethink how they do it. And it's just like it might actually hurt them because they're basically saying that like you as a reviewer were given the game, because that's kind of what happens with reviewers. Legitimate reviewers usually don't pay for the game. They get it sent to them because that's what they do. They're a critic. So these are going to be the better, more well thought out reviews on Steam. But because they didn't pay for it on Steam, their score doesn't count. And it's only going to come from the everyday person who just plays the game and then writes something for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's going to end up hurting your reviews because they're not going to be honest. Like, they're not going to be, thought out, objective.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you can see both options, like both perspectives on this.
Yeah,
because Steam does have a problem with curating and reviewing. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You get those reviews in that say 0.1 hours, but bought the game, and they say it's a good game. I don't know. I wish I had the answers for Steam.
Maybe
it
then I'd
sounds
be
too much
making
like they're
some money.
automating it instead of fixing the issues themselves.
Maybe instead of like whether or not you paid for it, maybe they should just be looking at the how much time they actually spent in the game. But then again, then they can just theoretically just turn on the game and just let it sit there. But there's a way around like whatever it is they end up trying to implement. I feel like, but I don't know. I feel like this could possibly be detrimental, but it really depends on what the community feedback is going to be, because largely what I've seen is a lot of these changes with Steam. It's largely focused on the community feedback. Like for example, when they tried to do paid mods with Skyrim, how long did that last?
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. This is an interesting thing that they're trying to do. I can understand like the methodology behind it, or the idea behind it, but I can also see it presenting a problem down the line.
Quake Champions goes free to play.
Woohoo!
And also has a closed beta opening soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I signed up for the beta.
Me too.
I need to do that still. I forgot. I should pull that up right now.
This is awesome.
Yeah, this is the new Quake game, right? It's not like a MOBA spinoff or anything?
Quake Champions. I believe it's the new Quake. Yeah.
Okay. Because the Champions part kind of makes it sound like another like hero-based shooter,
Mm.
but I was thinking it's just the new Quake.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of doing like Unreal Tournament, whatever, the new Unreal Tournament, like kind of doing a similar thing to that, I thought.
Yeah, I think it'll be more like an Overwatch type of deal.
See, that's what I don't want. That's not what Quake is.
It says arena
It's
style
free-to-play
competition, but I mean the description IGN isn't very robust. But I mean we'll just have to see. But I mean from the trailers that I've seen, it's just a bunch of running around and shooting stuff and just viscera just all over the place. It looked like a good bloody Quake time. So I think this is great that Quake is making a comeback, because they're pretty much direct competition with Unreal Tournament, which will, it'll basically force both developers to put out the best possible product they can. So, we can only we reap the benefits from that. So.
Okay, so just to clarify what I was asking real quick, it looks like they have slight differences. Like their stats as far as health, armor, and speed is concerned change between champions, and they have a special ability that changes between champions. But the actual weapons that you pick up and stuff are the same.
Okay.
So it's actually kind of a nice mix of both, because each character still feels unique, but it doesn't it's not loadouts. You're all still picking up the same weapons. You're running around the map. Like it's nice. I like it. I'm okay with that. Because I freaking loved Quake growing up. So I'm glad it's going to be free to play. Granted, it's kind of like the Killer Instinct version of free to play, where it's like you have one champion
Right.
But you can play.
You can always, it's got both options, free to play, but also you can just buy one thing and you'll get everything unlocked.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of wish you could like buy champions one by one, and maybe you will be able to, but this makes it sound like you just either play free or buy the champion pack.
Looks like there's
play with everyone.
Looks like there's in-game currency that can be earned, so you can check out other champions.
Yes, check them out though. You don't own them through the in-game currency.
Oh, is it like a rent
key.
type of thing? Oh no, I don't like that.
Oh no!
Oh no! You just like.
Yeah, let me see where that was said. I don't want to misspeak because I hate it when that happens. Yeah, he also mentioned that this is from IGN, by the way, of course. He also mentioned that in-game currency will let people check out characters other than Ranger for a limited time.
Dang it, I don't like that.
So it's probably like a pass that you pay for, but I mean that's you don't pay for, but you use currency for.
Hopefully, we all get into the beta and we can mess around with that, give our impressions. We have DayZ creators, Microsoft exclusive Ion has been canceled. I forgot about this game completely. I had no idea what this was. I checked the trailer. I was like, oh yeah, that thing. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't... Honestly, I put this in the docket because I didn't figure that the game itself would be a big deal. But I kind of just want to point out that another exclusive Microsoft game was canceled.
Yeah. It seems like they're having some rough issues.
I feel like Microsoft is making some good decisions. Like with that All Access or whatever that, Game Pass is called. I think it's actually called Game Pass.
I think it's Game Pass, yeah.
Like that's a good idea, but they're banking on nostalgia these days. Like how many exclusives did they have out last year?
They had Forza, Gears of War, and something.
Yeah, exactly. Not much. And this year, like it seems like everything that was supposed to come out is getting canceled. The only thing I can think of that's an exclusive that's coming out supposedly this year is that Sea of Pirates or whatever from Rare.
Well, Halo Wars 2 just came out, I think.
Okay.
A few weeks
well,
ago.
I guess that counts.
Yeah, I mean, you said exclusive. I'm just giving you one.
But Halo Wars 1 was terrible.
A lot of people like that one, but whatever. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm worried about their future. Like, are they basically going to become like a glorified Blockbuster? Where like the system is just a rental based thing, and you like get all the old
box kind of deal.
Yeah, basically. And then like it becomes a way to stream like PC games.
Possible
because everything is cross platform now. I don't know. They need to have a really strong showing at E3 and pull out some games that are actually going to release.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I don't see
this one failed because of Rocketworks, the developers. Like it was one of their off-brand studios that they just experiment with and mess around with. So it's not really on the onus of Microsoft for it failing.
Fair,
but still.
Again, that was kind of more just the catalyst for another rant about how Microsoft needs to get their crap together,
get the shit together.
Right, yeah. Because that's worrisome. They need to stop canceling titles. There's been way too many in the past year or so.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see...
When they already didn't have many coming out.
I'm expecting to see Crackdown 2 or 3 there, rather. That'd be interesting. They had Dead Rising 4 last year, too.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that's an exclusive.
Just really interesting. I'm really scratching my head over here. Is like, what are you doing, Microsoft? Like, what is your plan? Do you even have a plan? Like I have all these questions, but no answers. So hopefully,
just writing it out.
Yeah, hopefully they'll, have like you said, Justin, a good showing at E3. Hopefully they'll actually announce some games that won't get canceled, and hopefully they'll, announce something as far as, just what they're going to do moving forward. Like it's at this rate, like what are they going to do? Are they going to cancel the Scorpio next? Because I feel like that's all that's left.
I mean, if they don't announce any like major games, but still announce the Scorpio, like no one's going to care about it because there's nothing coming to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the narrative for Microsoft is pretty weak right now. Let's see what's going to get a peek behind that curtain around E3. All right, moving on to my favorite story of this week.
I thought it would be.
Fire Pro Wrestling World is coming. I've never played any of the Fire Pro Wrestling games, but I've heard that they've been really good over the years. But I'm excited for a new wrestling game. Like every year we get these 2K games, and they're like so slow and like just like the mechanics are so awful. But seeing like a new game that's like 2D and it's mostly focused on like building up your own characters and having this like grappling up and mixing up the rules and stuff like that, it's so unique. And Suda51 was the creator of the original games. He's not back for these ones, but he's giving his support, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
And it's coming to PC this year, I believe.
This looks like a really fun
I've never
game.
heard of this series, but the image on this article looks terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks cheesy, but I think it's gonna be awesome because it's back with Suda51's approval.
A fan-made Mother 4 game in development for like 7 years, and they announced yesterday, I believe it was, or sorry, March 2nd, I should say. That's not yesterday. March 2nd, whatever. I heard about it recently. That this Mother 4 game is being turned into an original game, just kind of as a inspired by, you know, the Mother series, so that they can actually release it, you know, and not have it taken down. Because there's been a lot of DMCA strikes lately by Nintendo, and they don't want that to happen on this game that they've put a lot of work into. And really, essentially, this is all original assets. Like they're kind of using that graphical style, but like it's all new characters, all new sprites, everything. So it's not going to take a lot to rebrand it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably change the fonts around a little bit, you know, take out the references to Earthbound, but I don't see it being a major departure. So it's kind of cool that they can put this out because, you know, like Undertale, for example, everyone says that was like a love story to the Mother series.
Mm-hmm.
But this is literally going to be like a love story to the Mother series.
Yeah.
And much more like accurately so. And some people are saying they're kind of sellouts for doing this. Like they want to actually be able to, you know, sell the game. And I can't say I blame them for that. But
they said they don't want to sell the
No,
game.
I know. That's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
But like, I'm just saying people are saying that they will do that eventually.
I wish they would sell it, honestly.
Yeah,
It's like they work hard. They put their friggin' like time and effort into making something that for people to love.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Sell your game. At least put a donation button. I don't know.
I mean, to me, it seems kind of like a situation of Axiom Verge. Like, I know that was never a Metroid game. Like, it's not like that was a fan game that they turned into Axiom Verge eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was literally its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it played very much like it was a love letter to Metroid.
Yeah.
And that game was amazing, and like $20. And usually you can find it on sale for cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could do the same thing with this. Like, it's a love letter to the series. They've put a lot of work into it. It's all original assets. Friggin' sell your game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I see a lot of the comments even say like, hey guys, sell your game.
Yeah.
Even the community's behind them. Like, come on, dudes. I don't know. I still need to get around to playing Mother 3. I have not done that yet. Okay, you want to get into the topic?
Yeah. So we kind of, you know, touched on it a little bit when talking about the Steam reviews and the way they're changing. But I wanted to take a little bit of time at the end here to kind of discuss like the state of game reviews, specifically console reviews, really, but the state of like, you know, media reviews in general, and how I don't really feel like rating systems do justice anymore. I kind of have 2 points of this, both just, you know, related to recent stuff, where the Nintendo Switch.
You're talking specifically hardware stuff, right?
Not necessarily. There's two aspects of it, like I said. One of them is the Nintendo Switch has not been getting great reviews so far. And a lot of people, you know, like I have been saying that it's because, you know, things aren't in place yet as far as the system is concerned, like the internet services and the virtual console and stuff like that. And I get that. Like, those are complaints.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the beginning of the console's life cycle, and these things will come. I mean, no system starts out what it will end up being.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's somewhat unfair to judge like a hardware device on anything other than the hardware inside of it, for one.
Right.
And the hardware itself is solid. But a lot of these got their systems before launch, and were judging it based on the pre-launch stuff, like the fact that the online services were even more meager before that day one patch, and the left Joy-Con desync issues, which I, for one, have never experienced. I don't know anyone else has experienced, and I've only seen maybe a handful of cases online that are just very vocal about them. And as mean as it might sound, I don't feel like that, like those minority cases should be the majority of, the review score.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, basically, I think I agree that there should be a written review. I totally understand that system. I like, reading about the pros and cons of a thing. But I don't necessarily think you need to attach a number to it. Because people will scroll down past everything else, just look at the number and be like, oh, that's a failing grade. I'm not going to get it. Which is dumb. For one, it's dumb on their part for not reading it. I mean, there's all that information there. You can come up with your own conclusion based on that. But they just read the slight synopsis or the slight end part and the number and call it a day. And that's just on people's ability to read these days. I'm not going to get into that. But also, it's unnecessary to boil all of that information down to, let's say a 1 through 5 or 1 through 10 score. I like a rating system as far as recommendation stars or something like that. Because you can basically say, it's not about the quality of something necessarily. It's about how you personally would, recommend that thing. Right. Or, whatever the case might be. But people see a number, and they automatically, put that on a grade scale. And that's not necessarily right.
I prefer, I prefer that system as well, where you're just recommending stuff. Because if you guys read Crispy Gamer back in the day, they only had 3 ratings. It was burn it, try it, or buy it. And that's kind of all you really need.
Right.
For someone to recommend you something. It's don't bother with it, try it out, or go buy it. You don't really need anything more than that, really.
Yeah, I like that. Some kind of, word breakdown rather than a number, or, like I said, or a symbol-based thing is still okay. Because if you're saying, this is, 4 stars, that's still great. It's not like a 4-star review would probably be, a 7.5 as far as a number scale is concerned.
It's 8.
Anything under an 8 is immediately a failure in a lot of people's minds. But if you see a star system, it could get a 3 and still be okay.
Yeah.
Whereas that 3 would be what, a 5 or 6 or something?
It'd be a 6, and people would just write it off.
Yeah. And so there's a mental difference there when people think about these things. Similarly with game review scores. Again, they're ranked out of 10. So in that mindset, a 10 would be a perfect score. Nothing can beat that. And for one, people kind of rate those things against each other. So if one game gets a 9.5 and another game gets a 10, for some reason that 9.5 game is just not as good as the 10 game. Which is not true at all. It just means they have different, differences. Maybe it's a different reviewer, maybe things like that. You can't really compare them like that.
Right.
It's objective. But also, 10 should be a perfect score. It should be a sign of a perfect game. And that doesn't exist.
Right.
So again, I don't think you should be able to, if you consider that a grading scale, 10 would be 100 in a class. That means you got nothing wrong. And that's not the case. So again, I think it's a faulty system, because if you rate something 5 stars, that, in my opinion, does not equate to a perfect 10. Because there's more leniency as far as a 5 is concerned, because 5 would be anywhere from, 81 to 100 in that case?
Yes.
I'm gonna get this.
It's 90 to 100.
90 to 100, okay. So,
the reason why we're talking about game reviews and stuff like this, star ratings and stuff, is because we're starting to put up reviews now with Justin's Zelda review.
Yeah.
So,
and part of the reason I wrote that review was because I got kind of annoyed at all the 10s that game was getting. Because we've said very much that it's an amazing game, and it's easily the best Zelda game ever made. But it's not perfect. I mean, there's technical issues, there's inventory issues, there's all these things wrong in it that prevent it from being perfect. And so people ranking it a 10 just because it's revolutionary and does something that Zelda's never done, and all of these things that make it special. Yeah, that's all great. But it's not a perfect game, and it doesn't deserve a 10, in my opinion. So that's why I like the star system, because something can get 5 stars and not be perfect, but be amazing. We can do, partial, I'm personally not going to do 4.8 or anything. But like, we can do like quarter stars and things like that. So there's a little bit of difference there.
Yeah. We're using the star system, and like when you're looking at a review, I think nowadays, especially like modern reviews, it's all subjective. There's nothing objective about a review anymore.
Right.
Back in the day, they would break things down by like audio, gameplay, visuals, graphics. But now it's like you go to your favorite content creator, you go to your favorite reviewer, and see what they have to say about it, because their tastes align with yours. So,
right. People are looking for validation in the comments section. So reviews can't be objective, or they'll get blasted.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do here too. Is like all of us have our own personal tastes. Like I'm a shooter fan. Lauren's a shooter fan. I know Elvia's got some. She likes racing game, like the kart games, Mario Kart.
When
we all have our own party games, yeah, and all of our own personal tastes. So you get to know us, you read our reviews, you see if our reviews align with what you like.
Yeah. I mean, like, I specifically wanted to start my review with the fact that I love Zelda. Like, prefacing that I am fully a fanboy, but my goal is to not be subjective with the review.
Yeah, that's why our reviews are going to be a little bit more personal than some of the ones that you see out there, because we're actually embracing of what makes us us. Things like Metacritic actually do have a use, because you can get a quick glance at what critics and average people are saying about a thing. Same with like Rotten Tomatoes. But then, like, if you want to learn about that game specifically, you have to dig in and you actually have to read. Because some people might give it a game a 1 and just be like, oh, this one thing bothered me, and that's not the thing that you care about.
Yeah, I really think that like the review score needs to be secondary.
Right.
Like if you're going to have one, don't have it public. Like keep it, as like in. I don't know if there's a way to like write it into the code so that when it goes to like the Metacritic aggregator, that it still pulls a score from your review, but it doesn't show it as as part of the review, so that Metacritic can still get like their overall number based on the reviews themselves, but the public doesn't see the review score. And all they're reading is just the pros and cons, that personal information, like whatever the case is. So it's still subjective, but there's no objective number at the end. Because numbers are objective. That's the point of having that rating there. But then you'll read through the rest of the review, and it's like, I don't think that number lines up to what's in the review. So I don't know. That bothers me. Like the disconnect between like a physical number and the information in a review.
The issue with that is the editor that reads it over. Because usually when I've heard stories from editors that have done reviews say that when they read someone's review, it reads like something like a different score than what the person gives it. And they just talk it out and see if that's what they really want to give. Lo, did you want something to say?
Yeah, I just had a few thoughts on this. So before I had joined this lovely group on Charge Shot, I was actually just kind of doing my own thing with my own personal blog and stuff like that. So I would write, I wouldn't call them reviews, I would call them impressions. So I never had like a hard score at the end of it. I would always do like, I would call it if then. Like, if you're into this, this, and this, then maybe try this game out because you might like it. But if you don't like this kind of stuff, then stay away from this game because you're not going to have a good time. That kind of thing. However, I can see, for example, like, I don't really necessarily like the one at like 1 to 10. I can see like 1 through 5 working a little better because it's a little broader, but I feel like the 1 through 5 works a lot better if you kind of do like a blend of like kind of what we've been talking about, like the personal kind of impressions of it, but also just give it like, like a, 1 through 5. It's like, okay, I give this game a 4 out of 5, and here are the reasons why I gave it a 4 out of 5. Now, here are the technical reasons why, and then here are the subjective reasons why. So again, it comes down to knowing. You have to know the person who's reviewing a little bit. And for me personally, like whenever I go to look at a game review, I don't just like look at like 1, 2, or 3. I'll probably look at maybe like 10 or 20 even. And more importantly, I'll look at ones of people who graded it lowly. And because I want to see why. Because first of all, like to I'll even like look up reviews of games I've already have and I've played for years, just because I'm interested to see what other people have to think about this kind of stuff. Because there's this I forget who said it, but a lot of the time the conversations that you have with people who disagree with you tend to be a little bit more interesting. So yeah, just for that reason, it's the reviews are definitely a lot more subjective than they used to be. It's just a matter of whether or not the people putting out the reviews are transparent about that or not. I mean, you can have a review that's more objective than subjective. There's always going to be some level of subjectivity in there, but again, I feel like it's kind of going back to what Justin was saying about the negative Switch reviews. A lot of people like to focus on negative things. That's just kind of how it is. And I mean, with electronics, obviously you're going to have some units that fail. It's electronics. I mean, come on, guys. And yeah, I don't know. It's as far as like the whole game and hardware reviews and journalism thing, it's all kind of, I don't want to say, I can't really think of a good way to describe it. Really, it's definitely not what it used to be. But, I feel like we have a really diverse group, and as long as we are, true to ourselves and true to our tastes, and more importantly, transparent with our listeners and our audience and whoever ends up reading our reviews and stuff, then, as long as the reviews aren't misguiding people or, steering them the wrong way, or it's just like, hey, buy this game just because I said you should. It's really more of a, hey, buy this game if you like these kind of things, that because a lot of the time, like, games nowadays, they're not in just one particular thing. A lot of games now, they'll blend different aspects from other games. So it just really comes down to like what combination of aspects you enjoy the most. So I don't know. That's really kind of just my thoughts on it. But yeah, as far as the 1 through 5, I think we can make it work. It just as long as we kind of break it down a little bit more, and as long as we don't make the number the prominent, like, main aspect of it. It's really more about the personal experience and how fun the actual media is.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've heard a lot is, like, if you're looking to buy something online, the best way to filter out reviews is to immediately get rid of all the 5-star and 1-star reviews, because they don't see the entire picture of things.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
They either don't see the positives or they don't see the negatives, or like a lot of 1-stars are, like, this was defective out of the box, 1 star, even though they like got a new one or something.
Or the shipping wasn't great.
Yeah. Or like the 5 stars are, I was paid, I was sent this item, it's great. Something like that. Like, there's no information there.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same with Steam also. Like, the best way to check, like, honest reviews is to filter out the 1 and 5 stars. So in my opinion, there really are no, like, true 1 or 5-star reviews. So everything kind of boils down to that 2 to 3 range, or 2 to 4 range. With variations. Obviously, like, it could be like a 4.5 or like a, 1.5, something like that. But 1s and 5s just aren't honest to me. And it's the same with, like, perfect 10 scores in that case. But let's make this a conversation. So, if you guys listening have thoughts on the review process, or if you review things yourselves and have some input for us, tweet at us, as they say. At either any of us individually, we can all filter that information, or at the Charged Shot on Twitter. And let's keep talking.
And with that, that's a show, everybody. You've been recording for almost 2 hours.
Woo.
I'm back.
The rants are back. All right, where can we find you, Justin?
I am at the places at Zero Score. Type it in if you find me on there.
Also, check the show notes for all the links to all of our profiles. Lauren, where do we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Near the Hero. It's spelled very funky because the letters were actually taken. So it's N3R0, THEH3R0. You can also find me on YouTube, Near the Hero. That's just all letters. You can also, I have a Charge Shot email now too. So you can email me at wait, is it thechargeshot.com? I forget.
No, it's just Charge Shot.
Okay, low@chargeshot.com.
Get your email address correct. And you can find me, your host, Thomas, at CSG Thomas on Twitter. You can also find Charge Shot on Facebook, facebook.com/Charge Shot. You can also email me, thomas@chargeshot.com. And until then, enjoy your games.
That was a good one.
I'm gonna eat this burger.
You have a burger?
I've had 2 burgers sitting here since I started recording.
That is a long time to not eat 2 burgers.